Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a while, okay? It's been like a year since I recorded like a video. But welcome back. Thanks for sticking around. So I wanted to do a Q&A. If you follow me on Instagram, then you already know. I asked you guys if you have any questions about the field of social work, and now I'm about to give y'all my answers. So I might split this up in like a two-part, like one part for like just general field of social work, the other part about travel, because I had some travel questions as well. Actually, I am gonna do that. Okay, so this is part one. This is just about the field of social work and my journey, etc. Okay, and then that's part two is gonna be about travel social work. Before we get started, make sure you subscribe to my channel. Also follow me on Instagram. I am the most active on Instagram. I am also active on TikTok, and I actually post more social work-y videos on TikTok, so follow me there as well. All the links to my accounts will be down in my description box. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay. I'm just starting my bachelor's program for social work in the fall. Any tips for schooling? So my advice would be to prepare for licensure while you're in school. Because in your BSW program, you're going to be learning, or even your first year of your master's program, you're going to be learning like the foundation, like the history of social work. You're going to be learning about theories. All that is really important for licensure. You're going to be asked those questions on the licensure exams. So make sure you pay attention to that step. And then also, like, if you are not familiar with like a concept or it's not coming to you easily, make a flashcard out of it, because you may be asked it on the licensure exam. So definitely make flashcards of things or concepts that are not sticking with you easily. Also, make sure you get a practicum or an internship within the field that you're interested in within social work. So for example, if you're interested in like becoming a therapist, right? Make sure that your internship is within an agency or organization that's aligned with your career goals, right? Maybe like community mental health or something along those lines. So that way you're going to be able to figure out if you actually want to pursue that as a career. And also, if you do, maybe you can get a job out of it, or at least you can have good references from that internship. In here, what skills are valuable outside of what is taught in the classroom? I think what's most valuable within this field of social work is actually practicing social work. So whether you are like working within your internship or actually practicing after you graduate and you get a job within the field, I feel like that is where you learn, you develop your skill set, you develop your flow as a social worker. You get your experience of working with different people, different clients, etc. Like for example, like they can teach you empathy, they can teach you the value of cultural competence or whatever you want to call it, but you actually have to practice those things. You actually have to practice empathy with a client that you can't stand working with. Like you actually have to experience that in order to develop that skill set, right? Or like you're working with a client that's from a culture that you have never heard of before, or you have no idea anything about, right? So that's where the actual learning happens. That's where you're putting in social work theories and concepts in action. How to pass the LMSW. Link is in the bio, okay? I'll even leave a little link here on the screen somewhere, because I already made a video about that. But if you're studying, good luck, you got this. Tips for new social workers, please. My advice is to not be afraid to leave a job, okay? If you feel like the job is not aligned with what you want to do career-wise, or is unhealthy, it's a toxic work environment, do not be afraid to leave. You don't have to stay. There's plenty of other opportunities. So don't settle for low pay, okay? Of course, there's situations where you may take a lower paying job, like maybe you just really need to make money, or you know, maybe they're not paying as much, but they're offering like free CEUs or free supervision, whatever. But don't settle. You don't have to settle. There's always more opportunity. You don't have to be broke because you're a social worker. Also, everything is a learning opportunity. So don't be afraid to ask questions. Like, you are never going to know everything, okay? And don't think you know everything. I don't care if you've been in a job for 10 years. You don't know everything. Systems are constantly changing. Always ask questions, always ask for clarification. What jobs do you recommend for new grads? I don't recommend any jobs. What I recommend is that you sit with yourself. I don't care how long it takes. A day, an hour, a week, a month, a year, I don't know. However long it takes, sit with yourself, understand and think about why you're in social work. Think about your dream job. Like, what type of benefits do you want? What type of population are you serving? What area are you working in? Like, think about that, and then go find those jobs. Like, apply on job sites, network, whether it's networking like on social media or actual networking events, or even networking with your classmates or your colleagues. Network so you can find those opportunities. Is work experience needed if you are just leaving college and trying to get a social work job in the US? So I think that depends. Like, if you are trying to get a supervision role or a managerial role, yeah, you're gonna need work experience. But something entry level, no, like, you don't need experience. It's really just about how you sell yourself in an interview. Also, but of course, like, having experience always helps. So that's why it's really good to have an internship or a practicum in a field that you're actually interested in, because if you actually want to practice that, then you have references and you have work history through your internship or your practicum, whatever you want to call it. But I also think it's really important to understand the value of networking. I think a lot of times it's really not about what you can do or what you have done, but who you know. Okay, so definitely prioritize networking. Okay, what is true burnout to you and how to navigate burnout? Burnout, in my experience, not like the textbook definition of compassion fatigue or burnout, but when I experience it, I hate working with my clients or patients. I hate going to work. I literally dread going to work. I feel depressed, or I feel really anxious all the time. I literally think about quitting the field. Like, that's when I know that I'm burnt out. And how to manage that is, before I started doing travel social work, I was traveling a lot. But then also, I think it's really important to have other coping mechanisms with it, right? So if it's not traveling, taking mental health days, okay? If it's not that, then having a therapist. If you can't afford that, or you don't have access to it, or you don't want to do that, which is okay, then having people you can talk to. It's always important to have someone that you can talk to and confide in. And also prioritize doing things that you like to do. So self-care. Self-care is not luxury, buying luxurious things. It can be, but it's also just doing things for you that you enjoy doing. Whether it's cooking, cleaning, getting a massage, going to a day party every weekend, turning up, going to therapy, going for walks. Whatever it is that makes you feel great and centers you, do that. I also think that a lot of people are very bad with boundaries in general, but then also with work. So make sure you're setting good boundaries, because if you have poor ones, that can also increase your risk of being burnt out. So don't work more than you have to. I'm not saying do the bare minimum, but don't do overtime if you don't need to be doing overtime. Like, leave the job on time, come on time, and leave on time. Since you've been a social worker, do you feel like social work was worth going to school for? And I'm going to say, honestly, yes. Now that I'm getting paid what I'm worth, or a good wage. Like, before I was getting paid what I'm comfortable with, I was actually very upset. I would even say bitter about pursuing social work. I'm like, damn, people don't even go to school and they're making twice as much money as me. But then when I started working within hospitals, I started getting paid more money, and I actually enjoyed the work. Because before, it was like either I enjoyed the work, but I was getting paid extremely low to the point where I had to Uber after work just to make my ends meet. Or I was getting paid good, but I was so stressed out by the job to the point where I was crying every night. So now I feel like I have a great balance. Even before I started traveling, when I was working in hospitals, I feel like I had a really good balance. A good balance of liking the job and the work, as well as liking how much money I'm earning. Which leads us into the next question. What's the range of income for a social worker? I actually looked this up because it literally just depends on where you live in the US and what field you're practicing. But on salary.com, it's saying the median income across the US is $67,000, so, which is not bad. It doesn't mean that you're going to be making that living like in a really rural area. It doesn't mean you're going to be making that working in a big city. You know, you can be making way less. You can be making that or more. It just depends on what you're practicing and where you live. I also did a video on like the higher paying roles within social work. I will leave it here, somewhere on the screen here and in the description box, so you guys can watch that. Next question, how to handle a bossy supervisor. So if leaving the job is not yet an option, then I think it's very healthy to ask them to have a one-on-one so you can talk to them about your expectations for their leadership. Like, let them know what you don't like in a professional way, and then also let them know what you need from them. If that doesn't work, then either leave or escalate it to like their manager or whatever. If that doesn't work, then ask if you can switch teams, like to a different supervisor. If that don't work, then girl, why you there? Why you there? You need to go. Because you don't, the worst thing in my opinion about most jobs is poor leadership, especially if they're micromanaging you, right? Like, there's a difference, right? Because I've had so many different supervisors, and I've had 2 different micromanagers. I've had a micromanager that was only on you because she wanted to. She was not helpful. And then I had a micromanager that actually helped you. She was on you because she wanted to help you. And she felt like you could literally be like, I have too much to do. She would take the work and spread it out amongst the team, or she would take it on for herself. So there's two different leadership styles when it comes to micromanaging. But anyway, I digress. Next question, salary negotiation tips. I think number 1, always have the audacity. Always have the audacity to ask for more money. And this is coming from someone who used to be scared shitless to ask for more money, but now I don't care, because what I gotta lose? What they gonna say? No? Whatever. So always have the audacity to ask. And then also what comes with that is know your bottom line. Like, know what you want to make, but be realistic, right? So if you're applying for a job, for example, and the range that you see posted or what they tell you is like 30 to 40, but you want to make 80, no, they're not going to give you 80. They can't afford you. So go apply for a job where you're going to be making that much money, right? But then also I think the rule of thumb is to ask for 10% more of what you want to make. So if you want to make 100, ask for 110, right? If you want to make 50, ask for 55. So just ask for more of your bottom line. Even if you get the job and they offer you the compensation, always ask for more. That's something that I've learned previously, and I was so scared to do it, but now I do it. I don't care, okay? And then also, if you are in the negotiation phase, if they're not saying, okay, yes, we'll offer you that, and maybe they ask for like a letter, because that's happened to me before. They were like, well, I don't know, but please send us a letter. I will ask for you. What I did was do a whole bunch of like salary-based research. So I looked on like salary.com and like other similar websites, and I googled like how much the position I was applying for was paying in my area, then across the US, and I added that into the letter. I was like, hey, I have this many years experience, this is what I can offer you the job, this is how much I want to make, as evidenced by this and that. I feel like it's appropriate for me to be paid this much. And I think I was asking for 75. They offered me 70, and I think I got like 72 or 73, so somewhere in the middle. I would have took it with 70K, but I wanted to make more than that. So I asked for it, and even though I didn't get what I wanted, I got more. So that's the point, right? What is your preferred setting? So my preferred setting is definitely working within the hospital, because I like that I am a triage point. I'm not the service provider or the treatment provider. I know I don't like being a treatment provider. I've done it before, okay? I like assessing, helping people realize what resources they need, and offering them resources and getting them to them resources. That's what I like. I don't like being the provider. It ain't for me. Also within the hospital, I feel like it's easy to set boundaries, because you don't take no work home, right? Like, you come in at 8, you leave at 5 or whatever your work schedule is. You don't take work home with you, like literal work. Like, of course, situations that happen at work, you may process them when you leave. So working within hospitals, I feel like it's really easy to set boundaries and then manage or navigate burnout too, because I still experience burnout, but I don't feel like I get burnt out nearly as fast, and it's easy for me to manage it, even because of scheduling. So even before I started traveling, I was working like a rotating schedule. So I would like work like maybe like 5 days straight, have like 5 days off, right? So within those 5 days, you can do so much. You can take a whole vacation without using your PTO. So that was a great way for me to manage burnout, and that is one benefit of working within a hospital. A lot of times you may have a rotating schedule like that. How did you decide and stick with being a social worker? So I decided on pursuing social work because I wanted to do work within HIV and AIDS prevention. But when I started the program, I was like, actually, I want to work with opportunity youth. I guess the common term is at-risk youth, right? That was the population I wanted to work with. And I've definitely gotten opportunities to work with that population many times. It's my favorite population to work with. And how did I stick with being a social worker? Honestly, there's been so many times where I considered leaving the field, especially like I talked about earlier, like when I feel like I wasn't getting paid what I deserved. I really was contemplating leaving, like pivoting into a different field. And I almost did. Like I've had like countless interviews like to become like a recruiter or within HR, but it didn't work out, and I feel like that's for a reason. Like now I love the fact that I'm traveling because I feel like I can manage the burnout better, because if I'm not on contract, I don't have to work, right? And I'm making great money, so I like the position and the way I'm working within social work right now. And honestly, I don't think I would practice social work if I'm not traveling. Like if I'm not doing travel or social work, I don't think I want to practice it no more, honestly. Do you work with children? No, but I have in the past. So I worked in the child welfare system, or CPS, whatever you want to call it. I didn't do CPS. I didn't do investigations. I did case management. So like once the children were removed from the homes and their foster homes, or like a kinship home, whatever, like with extended family, I did the case management to help them reunite with their parents or get them permanency, so adoption, long-term, like guardianship, whatever. So I did that for a year, and then I also did child and family therapy. Not like in a it was community mental health agency, but it was like a 24, almost 7 job. So I was on call like 5 days out of the week. Sometimes I was on call on the weekends as well. Super stressful. I was in their homes as well. So it was a lot. And that job made me realize I did not want to pursue therapy. And when I tell people that, they're like, because you weren't practicing therapy in the way that private practice therapists practice it. But I just don't think I like providing services, and that job made me realize I did not like being a treatment provider. Okay, next question. What is your favorite thing about being a social worker? And the other question is, how do you like being a social worker? So again, I like being a social worker now that I'm getting paid what I deserve, now that I have a job where I don't have to work if I don't want to. Also working within the field of social work that I love, which is hospitals. So I love helping people navigate difficult systems. And I like being a resource. Like even in my personal life, if someone needs help with something, I don't mind teaching them. I don't mind guiding them to the right resource. I do enjoy that. So professionally, that's why I like working within the hospital too. Like I mentioned before, like I'm the triage point. I help people identify what they need and then get them to that resource. So I enjoy that. If you had to change careers, what would it be? Definitely something in tech, but something that has to do with helping Black people, or like diversity and inclusion. There has to be some type of social justice component to the work. I've thought about like pivoting into nursing. I love nurses. I have the utmost respect for nurses, but it's just like, of course I would make more money. There's a lot more travel opportunities for nurses. But it's just really the wiping the ass for me. Like I'm just not wiping nobody's ass. You can't pay me enough for that. I'm just not doing that. Next question. Is it worth it to get certified in everything in order to move freely between positions, or does it make sense to just pick your niche or focus on that? I think it's really important to just pick your niche and focus on that. Don't get certified in everything just because it's available. Just focus on what you want to do, get certified in that, and explore that field. If you find that you don't like it, just know that there's other possibilities, right? And there's always ways to sell your experience that you already have. So for example, if you are working in CPS but you want to pivot into therapy or like a community mental health agency, it's so easy for you to talk about how you've worked with clients, developed treatment plans, empathy, whatever the case may be. It will be very easy for you to identify the ways in which your skills that you developed in this field will transfer to the other field within social work. Content ideas, recommendations when starting a Black Girl Edition, social work blog, IG, etc. So I love this question because I love seeing Black women content creators thrive. There's room for all of us. Do not feel like just because the market is saturated that you cannot thrive. If you want to create content, you can, but also don't think it's easy. It ain't easy. The way I've been struggling to record this video today, okay, it is definitely work. It is not easy. Just let me not go off on a tangent, okay? My tips: be authentic, be yourself, and then also understand why you want to create content. Do you want to educate people about social work? Do you want to do lifestyle content and just show how you live as a social worker? Do you want to do entertainment? Like, there's so many social workers, like on TikTok especially, that like make jokes, and I love it. Like, I love like us making light of our profession. Whatever the case may be, think about what you want to do and then do that. But then also don't feel like you have to be stuck within that. Like, I just started talking about my social work career last year, and I know a lot of people are following me and discovering me because of that. But I've always been like a lifestyle, fashion, content creator. But now I'm adding social work into it because social work is part of my life and my lifestyle. So always know that you can expand, and there's always opportunity for you. But so yeah, be authentic. Do not copy. Like, just because you see someone thriving doing a certain type of content, like, I think the moody aesthetic mini vlog has taken off. It's super dim and like poorly lit or whatever, and people are constantly recreating that, but it's not coming off as authentic, and people know that. So always, if you see a certain type of content taking off, like mini vlogs are taking off, and I do mini vlogs all the time, but make it your own. So what I do is I don't make it like hella dimly lit or whatever. I do voiceovers most of the time when I'm doing my mini vlogs, and I make it comical, because that's me. Like, I'm a funny person or whatever. That's what people be telling me. But anyway, so if you're going to like copy an existing content type or like pillar or whatever you want to call it, make it your own. Just don't be inauthentic, because people can always tell. You can always tell when people are not having fun with creating content. And then also be consistent. That's a huge thing. So figure out what consistency means for you. It doesn't mean posting every single day. It could mean posting once a month. The point is to make sure that you're enjoying it and that it's quality. Like, just don't post something just because you got it. Like, you have to like what you've done. You have to feel confident about it. And it needs to be shot well. Like, if you're going to post a picture, make sure it's not pixelated and grainy. If you're going to do a video, make sure it's edited right. If you're doing transitions, make sure they flow right. Like, make sure, if you're doing a video, make sure the lighting is right. It's clear and crisp. Your camera is not all dirty. Like, make sure the content that you're producing is quality. And that is it for this portion of the Q&A. The next portion is going to be for travel social workers. So if you're interested in that, wait for that video. But of course, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for sticking with me and being patient. And of course, subscribe to my channel if you have not subscribed already. Like this video and follow me on my other platforms. And I'll see y'all next time. Bye.